I just woke up. I am so tired. I need to go back to sleep because I still have time to sleep before I have to go to work. But I need to make this video now while I'm still overwhelmingly upset. Last night I watched the Happiest season. You've seen it. It's on Hulu. Everybody's been talking about it. That is the worst movie I think I've ever seen. I've seen a lot of bad movies. But that movie was awful in every single regard. I cannot believe people are liking that movie when it is horrible. Absolutely horrible. And I think people are not understanding why it's bad. People are thinking that the issue's right here, but the issue's actually over here. Like, people are completely missing the actual issue with the movie. Everyone thinks, obviously spoilers for the movie, but honestly you shouldn't watch it, so you should just watch this video anyways. Everyone thinks that the issue with the movie is that Harper, who is Abby's girlfriend, Abby being the person played by Kristen Stewart, everyone thinks that the issue is that Harper isn't out to her family. And that's like the whole conflict here. Oh no, there are like hijinks ensuing because Harper is not out to her family because she doesn't want to bother them and like make it a whole big deal. No, that's not the issue here. Because obviously everybody's coming out journey is like their own thing. And nobody should ever have to feel like pressured to come out for like any reason. Like, that's fucked. That's not the issue. Everyone could see that and sort of like sympathize with that and be like, well, I get that Abby's like sort of stressed out in this situation, but like basically forcing Harper to come out to her family, that's not cool. That's not the issue. The issue is that you, Harper, brought Abby, your long-term girlfriend, to your parents' house in which she has to pretend that she's not with you, pretend that she's straight, and have to interact with your family. That is 100% homophobic. That is the issue. That is the issue, is that you lied to her and put her in an unsafe situation and thought that was okay. And just thought that was okay. And then mistreated her and gaslit her the entire fucking trip. That is the issue that people don't want to talk about. Like, this movie was like hailed as this big gay Christmas movie because all Christmas movies are made by Hallmark and are suffocatingly heterosexual. But like, no, this is a horrible gay movie. I cannot believe an actual gay person wrote and directed this movie, and it was so bad. It was like actively awful in the way that it tried to make you think it was good. Like, there are bad movies that are just like bad and that's what they are, but there are not bad movies that try to masquerade themselves as good movies. Like, this is a horrible film. I don't even want to call it a film. That makes it sound like it's fancy and is good. It's not. The movie starts out with Abby and Harper like on this cute little like Christmas light show walk, and Abby is discussing that she doesn't like Christmas because she was orphaned on Christmas. Her parents died on Christmas. So there's already big trauma around this holiday that she just does not like. And then Harper just having to like have her way and having to be right all the time is like, okay, how about you come to Christmas with my family? And Abby's like, oh, actually that'd be really nice. I'd love to come meet your family. And she decides before they go on this trip that she's going to propose to Harper on Christmas because she was going to propose later on New Year's. So this is a very serious relationship. But then before they leave, they have another conversation where Harper's having doubts. So it's clear that she knows that this was going to be a bad idea, but did not inform her girlfriend so that Abby could make the informed decision in this. She lied to her and let her into an unsafe situation. This is clear manipulation. I don't know how this is acceptable on any grounds. Like, it's exactly what happened, not exactly. We're not going to compare the struggles, but this is basically the same thing as Get Out. It's like, if you knew that your family was racist and you took your black partner to your racist family's household without telling them that they were racist, that is so, how does that, what is wrong with you? What is absolutely wrong with you? You cannot say that you love your partner and then put them in danger like that. Like, knowingly put them in danger. Like, you can't do that. Like, that is so fucked on so many levels. That it's clear that she knew that that all of this was going to happen and Abby was going to not be treated the way that she should have been. And still convinced Abby and didn't tell her and let her go on this trip until they were on the drive, almost at her parents' house, that she stops the car and is actually like, actually I never told my family that I was gay and I never told them that we were together. So you're gonna have to pretend like you're just my roommate and that you're straight. That should have been red flag number one. Maybe it's because I'm a Sagittarius, but like, I would have been like, you turn this fucking car around right now. You turn this car around right now. Or I'm getting out and I'm walking back. I'm not going. Like, you can't do that. Break up immediately. That is the biggest red flag I've literally ever seen. Like, oh my God, you can't do that. You literally cannot do that. That is so, I don't want to say abusive, but it's like it's a big mistreatment. Big not okay. Like, what the fuck is wrong with you that you thought that was okay? But if that wasn't bad enough, Harper spends the entire fucking trip, in which she is the only person that Abby knows there, because Harper doesn't make any effort to like give Abby some friends to hang out with, literally whatsoever. Harper spends the entire trip hanging out with her ex-boyfriend Connor, who her family obviously loves and wants her to be with. And like, that should be fine. Like, you should obviously like trust your partner to hang out with whoever they want. Like, if you believe that they're gonna cheat, that's like a thing you have to work on your own. But like, what the fuck? You literally ditch your girlfriend, who can't even say that she's your girlfriend and is basically being mistreated and shunned by your entire family, to hang out with your ex-boyfriend for hours, and you think that there's nothing wrong with that? Not only is it like super fucked up to just basically like ditch your girlfriend to hang out with your family that obviously does not like her and is clearly homophobic. I want to make it so clear that like, they are homophobic. We want to make it seem like they're just like, oh, cool and accepting because like at the end they're like, oh my God, we love you no matter. No, at the dinner in which they see Harper's ex-girlfriend that they don't know is actually her ex-girlfriend because Harper's still in the closet. We'll get to Riley in a second, played by Aubrey Plaza, the only good part of this movie. They talk about how it's so unfortunate for her lifestyle choices. That is homophobic, plain and simple. You don't have to be saying slurs to be homophobic. That is homophobic, no. Period. And also at that dinner, they invited Connor, the ex-boyfriend. So Abby's sitting there, acknowledging the fact that her family's homophobic, and seeing Harper still interact in a very pleasant and kind way with her ex-boyfriend, who is obviously trying to be set up by the parents with Harper. And Abby decides to stay. That's the thing that I don't like with Abby in the story, is that Abby continues to be mistreated, but is so blinded by her love for Harper that she continues to be, like, walked all over. I don't understand it at all. That first night after the dinner, she should have left. She should have never gotten there in the first place, but after that first night, ooh, she should have left. What the fuck? You can't do that. And then later in the story, Harper decides to go out and have drinks with her friends and Connor, and she invites Abby to go along. And Abby is clearly left out and feels very ostracized by this friend group, because it's clear that Harper is close with her two friends, I'm thinking from high school, I think that's what they said, and Connor. And Harper makes literally no effort whatsoever to make Abby feel included in the situation. She just continues to hang out with her friends and Connor and like also sort of say that Abby's there, but she never does the thing where she's like, this is Abby, you two have this thing in common, how about you guys also become friends, because I would like my friends to also be friends with my roommate. Literally zero effort, none at all. And then when Abby is like, I don't want to be here, I'd like to go home, Harper's like, actually I'm gonna stay a little bit, but I won't be too long. And then Abby clearly is not okay with that, but she's like, I don't control you, so I'm gonna, fine, whatever, I'm gonna leave. And then Harper decides to stay out until the bar that they're at closes at like 2 a.m. with her ex-boyfriend. Tell me on what planet is that okay? What planet? Then literally, after not answering any of Abby's texts throughout the night because she's hanging out with her ex-boyfriend, she gets home. Abby in the morning goes to check on her, just say, good morning, how are you? And Harper like flips out on her, being like, oh my God, I'm so sorry that I was out late with my ex-boyfriend. You didn't know I had a curfew, Mom? Chill the fuck out, you're suffocating me. And I'm like, you brought her here. If you didn't want her here, then you shouldn't have brought her here. I hate Harper. I swear to God, if Harper was a real person, I would have beat her ass. I would have been like, you are a horrible person. And I would have ended her. I would have ended her by Act 2. I hate her so much. But we're not even at the worst part yet. We're not even at the worst part yet. It just gets worse from here. I hated every second of this movie. I would make that so clear. If I am rooting for the one main gay couple to break up throughout the whole movie, it's not a good gay movie. I would make that so clear. I was wanting them to break up the whole movie. Spoiler alert, they don't, because of course they don't, because we're supposed to think that Harper's an okay person somehow. There's also this subplot where Harper has an older sister, Sloange. I don't remember her name. I don't really care because she was an awful person. But her older sister has these two kids, and while Abby is shopping for like white elephant Christmas gifts, these kids put a necklace into her bag, and when Abby leaves the store, it makes it look like she shoplifted. And that just makes her parents and her family hate her even more. Increases the animosity between everybody. And Abby is further ostracized, and Harper continues to do nothing about it at all to make Abby feel more comfortable or welcomed in this household that she forced her to go to. So that's horrible. But we're going to get to the older sister later, because I also hate her. But then later in the story, because in these different functions that Harper drags Abby along to because she's there with her family, Abby's basically just left by herself, and Aubrey Plaza, love her, only good part of this movie, who plays Riley, who is Harper's ex-girlfriend, comes and she talks to her because she has that same sort of, I was also the hidden girlfriend at some point, and they connect on that basis. Riley's truly the only person who talks to Abby throughout this entire movie. Like, nobody tries to talk to her. Abby has a friend at home named John, but like at that town, the only person who ever tries to talk to her like on a person-to-person level and like get to know her is Riley. So like let's set that groundwork for what comes later. But they continue to talk like throughout different scenes because they seem to also be ostracized by like the town or whatever. But they chat, they hang out, whatever. One of these times they're hanging out though, Riley tells Abby the reason that they broke up in high school was because they used to exchange little cute like love letters in their locker. One of Harper's friends found one of Riley's notes in her locker and is like, what's this about? And Harper, instead of being like, I don't know, that's weird, or just a normal human lie or cover up, she decides to be like, oh, Riley's gay and just like sort of obsessed with me. Like, oh. What is wrong with you? I don't know how that wasn't the biggest red flag. I don't know how Abby continues to try to wed this person after finding out that news. That one, she outed her, which is the biggest no in the book. You don't do that. You don't out people. That's fucked up on so many levels. No, especially since it's clear that they live in a sort of more conservative town in which Riley's parents could have kicked her out. Could have done horrible things knowing this knowledge, because it's clear that Riley wasn't out at this point. She was outed by Harper. She decided to throw Riley under this bus that could have very much killed her because homophobia is very real, and save herself in this situation. I don't know how you hear that as a person who knows probably firsthand the struggles of homophobia and think, I still love her. In what world? What is wrong with you? What is wrong with you, Abby? How do you hear that and think that's okay on any level, on any sort of grounds? That is the most horrible thing you can do to a person. I already hated Harper at that point, but to know that she outed her last girlfriend because she needed to save her own skin. Like, what the fuck is wrong with you? Like, I get it if you don't want to tell people about your secret girlfriend. I get it. It's fine. Again, your coming out journey is your own thing. Like, you don't need to do that, but you don't need to also out your girlfriend in the process of saving yourself. You didn't need to do that. You truly didn't need to do that. What the fuck is wrong with you? But we're still not done. It still keeps going. And then we're getting up to the big third act, this big Christmas Eve party that Harper's family is throwing. And at this Eve party, you need a white elephant gift. Abby still doesn't have one because she was arrested at that time when the kids put the necklace into her bag. So she goes out with Riley, the only person who's nice to her, and is like, I need to go find a present. So they're out in town shopping. Harper's also in town doing things for the white elephant party. She sees the two of them walking down the street, just hanging out. Then later, at the party, Abby's there once again, just feeling ostracized. Nobody likes her. Nobody's talking to her. But Harper's there, just chatting it up with her ex-boyfriend, literally not making an effort at all to include Abby in anything. And then Abby sees this and is like, okay, I'm done. Because John finally shows up and is like, I'm going to get you out of here. You need to leave. The only close to logical person, but he fucks it up at the end. We'll get to that. Abby's like, I'm done. She goes up to Harper. She's like, I'm done with this. We're done. I'm leaving. And then Harper is like so shocked. I don't know how, when she's literally been treating her like shit this entire trip, but like she's like shocked. And she goes after Abby. And Abby's like, what the fuck? You're literally just hanging out with your ex-boyfriend the whole night. And then Harper wants to be like, okay, but like, why were you hanging out with Riley? I'm sorry, what? You, the person who's been hanging out with your ex-boyfriend this entire fucking trip, literally every day, every single day, he is there hanging out with Harper. You have been hanging out with your ex-boyfriend this entire trip for hours and hours and hours, not trying to include Abby in literally anything, knowing that Abby has been ostracized and excluded from everything in this entire fucking movie. And you're mad that she made a friend and the only other gay person in town. I would have strangled her. That bitch would have been murdered. This would have turned into a murder mystery. I would have killed her on the spot. What is wrong with you? What is wrong with you? She gets jealous that Abby is hanging out with her ex-girlfriend when she's been hanging out with her own ex-boyfriend this entire trip. I don't understand what this is. And she wanted to get mad at Abby for being suffocating and controlling earlier in the story. But when Abby makes a friend out of no help from Harper, because Harper doesn't do anything to make Abby feel included any time in the movie, that's not okay. Because Abby just needs to feel like less than and excluded and just needs to be there to help Harper. She's not her own, like, autonomous person in this. What the fuck? What the fuck? I don't understand it at all. I hate Harper. I hate her. Harper's literally not a likable person at any point in the story. We're just supposed to believe that Harper loves her, and that should be enough. Sometimes love isn't enough. Like, relationships take work and communication and trust and understanding, and Harper literally has none of those qualities. Harper's a horrible person. Harper is a horrible person. But we're not done. After this argument sort of blowout thing happens as Abby's packing her bags, Harper's like freaking out because she's like, I know that if I tell them about us, then I'll lose my parents. But if I don't tell them, then I'll lose you, and I can't lose you. And she just sort of freaks out a little bit, like a little bitch. And Abby, for some reason, is like, no, it's okay. And like forgives her for all of this bullshit that she's put her through. After these 4 fucking days. It's been 4 days she's been doing this. Honestly, I would have left before the end of day 1, but Abby's blinded by love, I guess. I don't understand why the fuck she stayed so long when she continues to be mistreated. This whole trip sounded like actual hell. But in this process of trying to comfort her, they almost kiss. Harper's older sister comes down the stairs and sees them. And Harper's older sister is already trying to, ruin Harper's life because they're fighting for the affection of their parents. Whatever, I don't care. And then Harper's older sister and Harper start fighting. They go upstairs to where all the people are, and her sister's like, well, you think Harper's so perfect? Actually, she's gay, and Abby's her girlfriend. And this is already a horrible thing. And it's framed as a horrible thing, but the movie is already determined that outing people is not a big deal. You can't be like, oh, what she did to Harper outing her, that's bad. And then not be like, Harper outing Riley was okay. You can't have these double standards when you want us to like Harper. You can't, no. Harper's a horrible person. If Sloange, don't fucking remember her name. If she is an awful person for doing this, then so is Harper. Harper's response to this, again, while Abby is right there in the room, is, she's lying. Oh my god, you can't believe that I'm actually gay. No. And then Abby, seeing this, is absolutely heartbroken, leaves the room. As she should. Honestly, I'm not saying that you have to accept being outed, but imagine being there, bringing your long-term girlfriend who you supposedly love to your homophobic parents' house and having the secret come out that you're gay and just double down on that lie. Like, I'm not saying that she had to have come out in that moment, but I'm also not saying that Abby should have been okay with that. Abby should not have been okay with that in any regard. No. So Abby leaves. She goes and takes a walk with John, where she's just like, where they have this whole big gay kumbaya sort of moment where they're like, everybody's coming out journey is different and we can't force Harper out of the closet. Which, like, cool. That's not the issue here. Everyone likes to frame the issue of this movie being like, oh, Harper's not out, she needs to come out, and that's the whole struggle. No. The issue is the way that you treat your girlfriend. The issue is that you brought her here. It's fine if you don't want to come out to your family, but you need to tell her that so that she doesn't come along on this trip thinking that she's coming as your girlfriend. You can't know. That's the issue. That's the big fucking issue. It's not just sort of like, oh, the coming out journey for Harper is just so hard and, oh, that's the big struggle. No, that's literally, I don't care at all. I don't care. You cannot be out to your family, but you do that by yourself. You don't bring Abby along and drag her through the mud basically this entire fucking story. You can't do that. That's not okay. But then, just as the movie, I think, is about to get good, because Abby has that whole walk where she's like, you know, yeah, it's fine that some people aren't out, but I want to be with somebody who is. And, like, very valid. So fucking valid. She goes back into the house to get her things. Harper is there just with her family, and she's like, actually, no, that wasn't a lie. I am gay, and I do love Abby. And then Abby's like, but too little, too late, bitch, and she leaves. As she should have. I thought that they actually broke up and it would have been a great movie. If it ended right there, I would have been so happy. I would have been so happy if they just broke up. If Abby was like, I don't deserve to be treated like this. You're an actual horrible person. Because it literally, the whole story sort of feels like a breakup. Like Abby realizing she's worth more than the shitty relationship and, like, breaking up with her. That's what this should have been about. It feels like they really, like, push the idea that Harper is a bad person and that's okay. Because there's a conversation between Riley and Abby where Abby's like, I don't even know who Harper is anymore. She's, like, treating me horrible. She's being, like, really, like, a whole, like, bitch on this trip. Like, I feel like I don't even know her anymore. And Riley's like, well, maybe both of these people are real. Maybe these are both truly Harper. Maybe you do like one side of Harper that the audience never gets to see, therefore we never get to, like, figure out reasons to like her. But there's also this other real side of Harper that's an awful person. So we're supposed to understand that Harper is an awful person, but we're supposed to just be okay with that for some reason. No. Like, literally no. And just at the end of the movie, Abby is almost about to leave. Almost about to be done. Done with this girl, done with the way that she's treated her, done with this horribly toxic relationship. But then as she's at a rest stop with, like, John as they're driving back to wherever they live, I think somewhere in Pennsylvania, Pittsburgh maybe, Harper finds her and is like, I'm so sorry for the way that I treated you, just give me a second chance, I love you, blah, 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 blah. And Abby, being blinded by love and the fact that she already bought an engagement ring, is like, oh, I don't know what to do. And she looks at John, and John could have been a good friend in the situation and been like, you don't need this, move on. Was like, you should take her back. And then they get back together. What the fuck? Literally, Harper has no redeeming qualities whatsoever. We literally never see her be a good person once in the story. Literally an awful person throughout this entire story. I cannot think of a single moment in which Harper displays, like, any good quality. We're supposed to just assume that she's a good person and that we're supposed to like her because she's, like, in a relationship with Abby, but literally that's no. We've literally only seen her be a bad person. I don't know how we're supposed to like or sympathize or care about Harper in any way, shape, or form. She's an awful fucking person. Completely horrible person. And she mistreats literally everybody around her to get what she wants. And it's clear that comes from, like, her familial issues and the way that she has her relationship with her sister, but, like, you can't treat other people that way. You can't. That's literally unacceptable. You don't treat people that way, especially people you claim to love. You can't claim to love Abby and then treat her like she's only there to support you and is not her own person. Like, we do not see Harper care about Abby once in this entire story, and we're supposed to root for them to get back together? In what fucking world? In what fucking world? Make it make sense. And her family is still pretty homophobic at the end, because when Harper comes out to her father, her sister, her older sister also comes out with the fact that she's having a divorce, and they're all just sort of like, we pretend to be perfect because we want you to love us, blah, 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 blah. And her dad has to go storm off to his office and like brood until Christmas morning, in which he's like, I love you. And we're supposed to believe that he's not homophobic because the whole reason that he's trying to have his family be perfect is because he's running for mayor and he needs the endorsement of this one lady, and this one lady is like, as long as your daughter can pretend like she's not gay, then we can work out a deal. And he doesn't take the deal. And I'm like, that is literally the bare fucking minimum. I'm not going to praise you for like not taking this endorsement because you don't want to put your daughter back in the closet. No. Literally no. Like, I thank you for doing the bare minimum and not shunning your daughter for being gay. That doesn't make you not homophobic. Literally awful. Every person in this movie is horrible. I don't like any of these characters except for Riley. Riley's good. Jane is good. That's it. I haven't even mentioned Jane. Jane is, I think, the youngest sister of the family. She is also an outcast, and they also treat her like shit throughout the entire fucking movie. And they think that she's stupid, and they think that she's hopeless and useless and just annoying, and they just treat her horribly. Literally so badly throughout the entire movie. And it comes out in the end that she gets this like wonderfully great book deal because the book that she's been working on that everybody said was stupid is actually really good, because obviously it is. And they just treat her horribly, and it's just not. I hate that movie. I hate that fucking movie. I hate that goddamn fucking movie. It is the worst movie I've ever seen, and I've seen a lot of bad movies. I cannot believe people like that movie. Like, how do you watch that movie and think that movie was okay on any sort of level? I don't know how you root for Harper when Harper is a horrible person. I think it's because people are not understanding the actual issue in this movie. People are just sort of glancing by that. Is that everyone's like, oh, we have to sympathize with the struggle of having to come out to an unaccepting family that tries to make everybody believe that they're perfect. Like, that's not the issue. I literally don't care. I don't care that Harper has a shitty fucking family, and I don't care that she doesn't feel comfortable to come out. It's literally not Abby's problem. Abby was brought along on this trip that she thought was going to be completely different than it actually was. She was lied to. Like, the context that she thought she was going into the situation with is completely wrong. And Harper just let her come along. She just let her come along. And on top of that, she had to tell her entire family that Abby is an orphan, and that's the only reason that she's coming along to Christmas is because she had nowhere else to go. And she basically makes her whole family think that Abby's like this sad charity case, that she's this horrible orphan, and that her life is just so sad because she doesn't have family. And like, they all make, I think they're supposed to be like jokes, but they're not funny at all. Everybody just makes comments about the fact that she's an orphan, and they're like, I'm so sorry about your parents. You probably have no idea what Christmas is because you were orphaned. And I'm like, first of all, that's not funny. Not funny. Maybe it's because I'm not an orphan. Maybe orphans find this funny. Maybe it's a joke for them. But literally not funny. Making these really insensitive comments about the fact that somebody's an actual orphan is not funny. And it also just further colors their perception of Abby as being less than them. And they already think that Abby's less than them because she's an orphan, and then she was a criminal, and she was just sort of not included by the family at all. But we're supposed to think that's okay because on Christmas Day, they're all just sitting together in the living room like everything's fine. We're also supposed to forgive Harper's older sister for outing her. Like, they all had this horrible fight and horrible blowout on Christmas Eve in which everything's supposed to be like ruined. I don't know how you come back from that the next morning and are all just like sitting around the fire together. What? And they don't even try to pull some that's the power of Christmas shit. They just think that that's fine. It is the worst movie I've ever seen. It is awful. I hate all the characters. There were like literally no jokes. It wasn't funny. It wasn't. I've seen reviews for it where people are saying it's heartwarming. What? I don't understand how you can like this movie. Like, literally at all. It was horrible. I don't know in what world we're supposed to like Harper when she is an awful person. I think they're banking on the sympathy of feeling bad for her and feeling like she has to live to her father's grand expectations of her of being straight. But like, I don't care. I truly don't care when you treat your, because like, that would be one thing if she was like, oh, I'm just so worried about what my parents think. But like, on top of that, she also treats her girlfriend like shit. Like, it'd be one thing if she was just like, oh, I'm so sorry, I need to hide you from my family. But, like, when she's just hanging out with her friends or when she has chances to include Abby or hang out with Abby, she just doesn't. She just doesn't. And she just uses Abby throughout this entire story. And when Abby finally makes a friend in Riley, the person who she's also mistreated, she flips out and thinks that that's not okay. When I'm like, well, what did you want her to do? Did you want her to just sit in her room on her phone and mope? Because that's all that you gave her the option to do. I am so mad that I watched that movie. I wasn't going to watch that movie because the premise of it already sounded stupid. I'm tired of all queer stories being centered around the idea that they have to come out. Like, why can't gay people just also be happy and in a relationship like straight people are? Like, what's up with that? But my friend told me to watch it. She said, watch it, tell me what you think. I think it was bad. I think it was horrible. I think Abby deserved much better than that, and she should have broken up with her at the end of the day one. She should have broken up with her in the car. When you found out that your girlfriend was driving you to a house in which you had to pretend not only to not be her girlfriend, but also be straight in their homophobic household, you should have left. You should have called John immediately and said, come pick me up. I am breaking up with her right now, on the spot. She was just horribly mistreated this entire trip, and she just put up with it because she was in love. Sometimes that's not enough. Sometimes that's not enough. Relationships need to be built on more than that. It needs to be a solid relationship on communication and trust. And just, treating each other well. And Harper doesn't seem to do any of that. And it's clear that she treated her last girlfriend exactly the same as she's treating this girlfriend. So I don't know how we're supposed to believe that this relationship is supposed to work out or is any better. So if you haven't watched it, I don't recommend that you do. It is awful. I've seen many bad movies. I want to make that clear. I used to work in a movie theater. I've seen many bad movies. But I've never seen a movie so completely miss the issue that they are showing their audience and completely misunderstand all of their characters and completely misunderstand the complete point of their movie because it was so bad. I don't understand how a real lesbian wrote and directed this movie. I don't know how she watched this and was like, oh, that's love. What? No! Please don't believe that that's actual love, because it's not. If you're being treated like that, oh my god, break up immediately. And again, I want to make it clear, the issue is not that Harper isn't out to her family. The issue is that Harper treats Abby like shit. That is the issue. It is influenced by the fact that Harper wasn't out to her family, but like that is a separate issue on its own. I've talked for long enough about this shitty fucking movie. I just had some things to say because I was so mad I had to watch that. I watched it at like 2 a.m. thinking it was going to be a happy, fun Christmas movie. Maybe it was going to be better than it. No, it was worse than I could have ever imagined. I knew it was going to be bad because any movie that centers around the fact that somebody has to come out is already not going to be a good movie because my god, can we just have gay movies that just are with gay people? Does it always have to be about the fact that they're coming out? It's just like how all black stories have to be about racism. Can we just have black people be in movies? Like, God, I just knew it was going to be bad, but my god, I could not imagine it was going to be that horrible. Anyways, I hate that movie. If you liked it, I kind of want to know why, just because I want to argue, because I feel so strongly about how much I hate this movie, but I honestly don't care, because nothing that anybody could say about this movie being good could be valid, because no, I watched the movie. I sadly had to watch that movie. And it was bad. Like, literally, there are no redeeming qualities to that movie at all, except for Aubrey Plaza. The fact that Abby didn't break up with Harper and date Riley at the end of that movie made me so mad. I was rooting for her to cheat on Harper the entire fucking movie. I was like, this girl is great. We don't even know what Harper does. She's like a writer, a journalist. Riley's a nurse. Riley makes that good money. And Riley's like a funny, good person who goes out of her way to, help you, despite barely knowing you. It just feels like Abby and Riley should have gotten together. The fact that Abby stayed not only in a relationship with Harper, but didn't get together with Riley is the biggest plot hole in this movie. It doesn't make any fucking sense. I hate this movie, but if you've seen it and you like it, you're just wrong. I'm not even gonna hear another side to this argument. You're just wrong. There's literally no way that you could like this movie without completely misunderstanding everything that happened in this movie. Like, no. This movie sucks. Can we fucking get Kristen Stewart in a good movie for once? I'm begging you. The fact that people like that movie but didn't like the Cats movie is everything that's wrong with this world.